Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really digging into something quite unique.
Yeah, it's a fascinating source document we've got.
It is. Well, it looks simple on the surface, nearly 200 statements,
Right.
but when you piece them together, they map out, the entire academic journey,
From the very beginning, grade school routines.
all the way up to figuring out universities. It's kind of the whole life cycle of a successful student.
It really is. And our goal here, it's not just about summarizing sentences, is it?
No, not at all. We're trying to pull out what's between the lines.
The hidden curriculum. That's a good way to put it. The habits, the mindset you need.
Exactly. What it takes to succeed at each level. And this source, it surprisingly gives you, the learner, a pretty structured roadmap.
Mm-hmm. A step-by-step guide, almost.
So the plan is to follow that progression. We'll start with the basics, the foundations.
Those foundational routines, the nuts and bolts of just being in school.
Yeah, then we'll look at how things shift towards uh, personal independence, developing those internal habits.
Building that resilience and mindset.
And finally, we'll get into the advanced stuff, the strategies for upper-level work, for university.
University mastery, yeah. It's a whole evolution.
It really is, from just following rules to becoming a strategic, self-guided learner.
But you have to start at square one.
Right. Showing up. Let's get into that foundational part.
Mm.
Okay, so let's unpack these foundational mechanics. I mean, before you even think about algebra or history,
You got to be there.
yeah, you have to master the when and the where. And the source material hammers this home. Attendance is mandatory, consistent,
It's not just I go to school, it's I go every day.
and every morning,
Yeah.
specifically to learn new subjects. That reliability, it's like the entry ticket.
It's the baseline, the absolute minimum investment, you could say. It sets that external rhythm.
And it defines the space, too, doesn't it? It's like, I sit at my own desk. That's the personal zone.
Right, contrasted with the collective. My school is large, or maybe it has a comfortable atmosphere.
So the student is learning. That learning happens consistently in a defined place at a defined time.
Exactly. Within these reliable boundaries, it's all very structured.
And the time management, initially, it's totally external.
Oh, yeah. The bell?
The bell rings, you move,
Yeah.
signal the transitions. The school itself is managing your time,
It's the infrastructure, isn't it? You learn to switch gears based on that sound.
which is interesting because later on, well, that bell disappears.
And you have to become the bell. You have to internalize that clock. That's a huge leap later.
It is. But staying foundational for a moment, there's this thing about tools, materials.
Ah, yes. Tool specificity. This is more interesting than it sounds, I think.
You mean like using a notebook for notes, a textbook for reading? That kind of thing.
That, but also the choice of tool. The source makes this little distinction.
Okay.
I usually write with a pen, but then I sometimes use a pencil for math. Why point that out?
Okay, I think I see. Pen feels permanent, like you're recording something final.
Right. Documentation, settled knowledge.
But the pencil, for math, that's for working things out.
Yeah.
Calculating, erasing, correcting. It's process.
Exactly. It's the first hint that different kinds of thinking need different tools. Math is iterative. You expect to make mistakes, find errors in the steps.
So you need to be able to erase.
Whereas history notes, maybe, or English definitions, those feel more like capturing the final result, hence the pen.
Wow. That's a deep lesson, hidden in a very simple choice. Pen versus pencil as a philosophy of knowledge.
It kind of is. The institution is subtly teaching how to approach different intellectual tasks.
Okay, moving into the classroom activities themselves. The expectation for listening is super clear.
Oh, yeah. I listen carefully. I pay close attention when the teacher explains.
Active listening. That's the required state.
And it's not passive. You can't just sit there.
Right, you have to participate. Raise my hand to answer or ask questions.
You have to engage. Put yourself into the flow. It makes you accountable for understanding.
And that engagement leads right into the first big test of self-discipline, outside the classroom.
Oh, homework. Done every evening.
And the source is clear on why. It's not just busy work.
No, it's functional. 2 reasons stated. Help me learn the material and reinforce what we learn in class.
It's that bridge, isn't it, between the teacher guiding you and you figuring it out on your own.
It is, and critically, the source acknowledges it's not always easy.
Right. Sometimes the homework is challenging. It admits the struggle.
But then comes that crucial mindset piece, the resolution. But I never give up easily.
That's powerful, that little phrase. It's like the seed for everything else. It's teaching grit, right from the start.
Absolutely. And think about why that persistence is drilled in so early.
Okay.
It connects effort with results. If you push through when, say, adding fractions is hard,
You're building the muscle for later.
exactly, for
Yeah.
when you hit a wall in a complex research project or a coding problem years down the line, it's training for that focused struggle, for working on what you don't know.
Not just sticking to what's easy. If you quit every time, it gets tough.
You never develop that stamina for sustained intellectual work.
Makes sense. Now, the sources also show that school isn't just academics. There's the social side, the breaks.
Right, the whole student experience, bringing lunch, eating with friends in the cafeteria.
Using resets to play outside, run around, get fresh air. That physical release is built in.
Which is smart. It acknowledges that you can't just grind constantly. Cognitive load needs managing.
You need those breaks, that social time to recharge.
It's about balance. Mental effort, then physical and social restoration. The source sees the student as a whole person.
And we also get glimpses of intrinsic motivation starting to show up, subject appreciation,
Yeah, listing specific subjects, English, math, science, history, art.
but linking them to feelings. Science is one of my favorite subjects. History is interesting. Art lets you be creative.
That emotional connection, that's the spark, isn't it? That's what starts turning mandatory attendance into real curiosity.
And that curiosity plus the persistence we talked about.
It sets the stage perfectly for the next big shift. When the rules start moving from the teacher's domain into the student's own head. Okay, so this is where things get really interesting strategically. The focus shifts.
How so?
We move away from the external stuff, the bell, the desk, and more towards internal strategies. Metacognition, basically.
Thinking about your own thinking.
Exactly. And this is where the student starts taking real ownership. It's the move from just following rules to actually regulating yourself.
And the first big hurdle the sources tackle here is mistakes,
Yeah.
errors.
Yes. And they tackle it head on, it says explicitly. It's normal to sometimes be correct and sometimes make errors.
That's huge. Just stating that normalizes it, tries to take the sting out of messing up.
It shifts the focus completely. It's not about being perfect. It's about what you do next.
To recovery.
Right. The key is the willingness to always try again, that resilience.
And it's immediately linked to practical steps.
Yeah.
Reviewing your work.
Always review my work before handing it in. And crucially, I learn from my mistakes and try not to repeat them.
That's the feedback loop. Making the error, spotting it, understanding it, and adjusting.
But let's dig into that learning from mistakes idea a bit more. It sounds simple, but what does it really mean in practice?
Good question. It's not just fixing the wrong answer on a worksheet, is
No,
it?
it's deeper. It's treating the error like data. Why did I get this wrong?
Was it a calculation error? Did I misunderstand the question? Did I just not know the material?
Exactly. Analyzing the source of the error. That's sophisticated self-assessment. You're turning that failure into targeted learning. Okay, I need to work on this specific thing.
And the pencil makes a comeback here, but with a new meaning.
Ah, yes. I write with a pencil so I can erase and correct my work.
So the tool that was for math process now becomes a symbol for continuous improvement, for revision across the board.
I think so. It embodies that principle of shame-free self-correction. You're constantly tweaking your own understanding.
Okay, shifting to skill development language vocabulary. The approach described is really active.
Very active. Almost aggressive, you could say. It's not passive absorption.
Using a dictionary, okay, standard. But then this. I often repeat new vocabulary to remember it better.
That repetition, that's active recall, isn't it? Even if the student doesn't call it that.
Yeah, it's like retrieval practice 101. You're deliberately pulling the word back out of your memory.
Which strengthens the pathway way more than just rereading it. Basic cognitive science in action.
And the reading strategy changes too. It's not just about getting it done.
No. At home, I try to read for understanding, not just speed. That's a major shift.
Comprehension over velocity. That's the goal. Deep reading.
And then solidifying it through output. You have to produce
Read aloud to practice pronunciation and fluency.
and practice writing complete sentences and paragraphs to improve English fluency. You take the input words you read or hear and turn it into output you control.
Speaking and writing. That's where real fluency shows up.
Definitely. And this whole section, the habits, the error correction, the active learning, it really boils down to one core belief.
Which is,
I believe that consistent practice is the key to improvement. That single sentence captures the whole mindset.
that's the engine driving it all. Consistency, practice, improvement.
It's the philosophy distilled.
But here's a question. If you're supposed to persist, practice consistently. What if you're just, banging your head against the wall?
Ah, right. How do you know when persistence becomes unproductive? When do you change tactics?
Does the source give any clues on that? When to pivot instead of just pushing harder the same way?
It's a great point. The source addresses this indirectly, I think, not by defining a pivot point, but by emphasizing the support network.
Okay.
It assumes that if your current strategy isn't working, despite persistence, the next step is to seek help. Activate your resources.
So the pivot is asking for help.
Pretty much. The material lays out who those resources are. The teacher is patient and offers guidance.
Classmates are friendly and supportive. Collaboration is baked in.
But the responsibility is still on the student. You have to be proactive.
Always ask for help if I don't understand the lesson. Immediately.
Yes, that immediacy is key. It's a mandate. Recognize the gap, address it now. Don't wait and hope it clears up, or that the teacher notices.
Waiting is framed as ineffective. Failing, even.
It is. You own your understanding, or lack thereof.
Okay. And finally, this section connects all this daily grind back to the bigger picture. Why bother?
Intrinsic rewards, partly. Feeling happy when receiving a good grade, knowing you're gaining knowledge every single day.
A sense of progress.
But it goes way beyond just today's quiz. The effort is explicitly linked to the future.
Education is important because it creates future opportunities.
That's the long game. And the specific goals stated, attend a university someday and find a good job.
So the whole journey from day one is framed as purposeful. It's all building towards something. Daily persistence fuels that long-term trajectory.
Precisely. And that trajectory leads us right into the next level of complexity.
Okay, this is where, for me, the source material gets really fascinating. The complexity just ramps up significantly.
It does. We're moving beyond just survival skills in the classroom.
Yeah, it's shifting into high-level strategic management. How to succeed when things get tougher and there's less direct supervision.
The goal changes from just being competent to actively optimizing your performance.
Right, because the workload increases, things get more specialized.
And your strategies have to keep pace. You've internalized persistence. You know how to learn from mistakes. Now it's about efficiency and handling volume.
So let's look at study techniques first.
Okay.
The source gets specific about time commitment.
I typically study for 1 to 2 hours after I get home. A dedicated block.
And crucially, it adds, even when I feel tired.
That's key. It signals that studying isn't just something you do when you feel like it. It's a priority. You manage your energy around it.
It becomes a non-negotiable ritual, like brushing your teeth.
Exactly. Relying purely on motivation is too unreliable at this level. You need the habit, the structure you impose on yourself.
And that structure extends to organization. It's not just taking notes anymore.
No, now notes are organized in a binder with separate sections. That's information management starting.
Like building your own little knowledge database.
And using tools strategically. The highlighter isn't just for making things look pretty.
It's used to mark key terms in my textbook. Targeted highlighting.
It aids recall and review. And speaking of recall, they mention specific tactics.
Flashcards. I find that using flashcards is an effective way to memorize vocabulary.
That's pure applied cognitive science right there. Active recall. Spaced repetition, potentially.
Yeah, the student is figuring out or being taught what actually works for locking things into memory rather than just passively rereading.
Efficiency matters more now, using the right tool for the job.
And with this bigger workload, you can't always do it alone. Collaboration becomes more important.
Definitely. Studying with a partner can make learning more enjoyable and effective. Shared effort.
And it moves beyond just studying together. They use each other for practice.
We often test each other before an important exam.
That's smart. It's low-stakes retrieval practice under pressure. You have to actually articulate the answer to someone else.
It reveals gaps in understanding that studying alone might miss. Do I really know this well enough to explain it?
But the absolute core strategy here seems to be about managing stress, specifically around exams.
Yes, and it's all about preparation, the explicit goal. I try to avoid cramming the night before a test.
So cramming is positioned as a failure of planning.
Essentially, yes, a desperate measure because the strategic work wasn't done earlier.
The proactive approach is laid out simply. Preparing in advance helps reduce my anxiety.
Plan your work your plan, create a study schedule, stick to it.
And build in breaks. Take short, regular breaks to maintain focus. That's acknowledging cognitive limits.
Basic neuroscience applied to studying. You maintain higher performance over longer periods that way.
Now, the source does acknowledge the reality of intense periods. It mentions students pulling all-nighters.
Right. It doesn't pretend that pressure doesn't exist.
But it frames it as um, a less desirable outcome, something that good preparation helps you avoid.
Exactly. It's like saying, look, this happens, it's stressful, but here's the better, more effective, less anxiety-inducing way.
Okay. Beyond tests, what about other skills? Communication comes up,
Presentations, preparing them, delivering them,
and practicing in front of a mirror to build confidence. That rehearsal piece.
managing performance anxiety, recognizing that knowing something isn't enough. You often have to demonstrate that knowledge effectively.
And teamwork becomes formalized. Group projects are frequent.
Teaching valuable collaboration skills. And again, the source is realistic.
How so?
It acknowledges friction. Sometimes we have disagreements, but we learn to resolve them.
So collaboration isn't just dividing tasks, it's navigating conflict constructively.
Which is a crucial life skill, right? Group projects are basically training for the workplace. How to work with different people, handle disagreements, and still reach the goal.
We also see the student taking more initiative in their learning inputs,
Yeah, going beyond the assigned materials, reading online articles, watching videos.
with English subtitles, specifically mentioned for vocabulary expansion.
The learner is now actively curating their own information environment.
Hmm.
They're not just waiting for the teacher to assign something, they're pursuing knowledge independently.
Which is the perfect lead-in to the biggest transition
Yeah.
of all.
University.
Right. The source describes this as very different from high school.
The key change, more independence, but also greater responsibility. That's the trade-off.
All those external structures we talked about earlier, the bell, the close supervision, mostly gone.
Professors now expect students to be self-motivated and independent learners. The training wheels are off.
The entire system is now designed to see if you can manage yourself. Can you plan long-term projects, meet deadlines without reminders, drive your own learning?
It's the ultimate test of all those habits built up over the years. Did that internal structure take hold?
And campus life itself adds another layer of complexity, living in dorms.
Can be fun, but it can also be distracting. Shared kitchens, social life.
You have to actively manage those distractions alongside a demanding academic workload. It's time management on steroids.
And finding balance is key. Participating in clubs, organizations, that's how you make friends, build a social network, which is also important.
But it all requires juggling.
And then there's the final layer, the real-world constraint for many.
Money, part-time jobs,
Yeah, the source notes many students work to support themselves.
which adds another major demand on their time and energy.
And the concluding thought on this is blunt. Balancing academic work with a job requires good time management.
It brings everything full circle, doesn't it? From learning to respond to the school bell.
To juggling classes, studying, a job, maybe clubs, your social life. It's the culmination of that entire journey in self-management and strategic planning. Hashtag tag tagmatic outro.
So stepping back, looking at this whole arc, what have we seen?
We've really traced the entire development of a successful learner based on these statements. Yeah, from those foundational mechanics, just being there, the rhythm, even that subtle pen versus pencil thing.
Right. Permanence versus iteration.
Through building that internal resilience, learning that mistakes aren't fatal, they're data, correcting yourself, practicing consistently,
And then moving into that mastery phase, becoming strategic,
organizing information, collaborating effectively, testing each other.
managing time under pressure, handling exams without panic cramming.
And finally, operating as that self-motivated, independent learner that university and life really demands.
The sources constantly circle back to effort, don't they?
Absolutely. The link between effort and reward is hammered home. Academic success isn't portrayed as luck or innate genius.
It's earned, accumulated through that consistent work. Like that final statement, success is more rewarding when you've worked hard for it.
That sums it up perfectly. The whole roadmap emphasizes persistence, but smart persistence, guided by strategy and self-correction.
Which brings us back to maybe the most critical lesson, the one good professors really push.
Failure. Or rather, how you view it.
Right, not seeing it as the end of the road, not as proof you're not smart enough.
But seeing it as an opportunity, data to analyze, a chance to figure out what went wrong and try again, but differently. Smarter.
So the final thought for you, the listener, really builds on that.
If the whole system ultimately is trying to teach resilience over perfection, if the goal is learning from mistakes, not simply avoiding them.
How does that change how you approach the tough stuff? the difficult assignment, the complex subject you're wrestling with right now.
Think about that mindset shift. What if you genuinely saw every error not as a failure, but just as feedback, as data pointing you toward a better strategy? How might that change your planning, your effort, your willingness to persist?
That resilience framework,
Yeah,
it might be the most valuable takeaway from this entire academic journey.
it really could be.
Well, that's all the time we have for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
Indeed. Until next time, remember that key: consistent practice, strategic correction, and knowing you can always try again.